Hello, my name is Laufie, and in this video I'll be providing a quick and dirty rundown of Blue Protocol. The game has not launched yet, but if you're wondering what kind of game it is, I will be overviewing important aspects of this MMORPG to help you understand what to expect from the game, and to help you decide whether or not the game's systems fit your interests. I've collected feedback from my Twitter followers, asking them what are some of the most important aspects of an MMO that will make or break their decision to play. And according to the responses, I have broken down the video into 7 segments: classes and combat, customization, monetization, gearing, crafting, and gameplay loop, developer's care and transparency, world and story, and horizontal. Things you can do for fun or cool parts about the game I wanted to include that didn't fall under any specific category. The objective of this video is to allow you to skip the hours of extensive research, watching translations of developer streams and reading translation threads like I did, and provide you with a condensed overview of all the key information I found in the most objective way possible. In favor of keeping this video as concise as possible, I will not be getting into the intricacies of some of these systems, but I will be making separate videos in the future looking at them in more detail, so if that's something that interests you, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get into it. Number 1. Classes and combat. Blue Protocol offers a third-person, fast-paced, non-target action combat. You can roll to dodge enemy attacks and retaliate when you get knocked down. At a glance, the combat is reminiscent of games like Terra or Genshin Impact, but under the surface it has a very intricate variety of customization. There are no skill points in the game anymore. Instead, players unlock all skills naturally by progressing their level and choose 4 skills from the list to use at any moment, called the tactical skills. This isn't permanent, and rather something you will be changing depending on the type of content you're doing at the time. Then you have 1 ultimate ability, which is self-explanatory, and 2 battle imagine skills localized to be called echo skills. These are summoning spells for different monsters that you kill in the world, that all provide different benefits depending on the encounter. There are currently 5 classes in Blue Protocol: the tanky and protective Blade Warden, the fast-paced Twin Striker with 1000 cuts playstyle, the ranged Keen Strider with both good DPS and support skills options, the Spellweaver filling the standard caster role, and a very unique looking, off-tank, mid-range heavy class called Foebreaker. I do want to mention that there is a weapon merchant in the main hub city that has all the weapons on display, but also has spears and pistols up there too. This, coupled with the fact that there are 2 NPCs in the story who wield these weapon types, the community is assuming that we will get these 2 weapons as playable classes in the future. That being said, each class has a dominant element associated with their skills that provide different party synergies, like increased damage, bleeds, or healing. These elements are at the core of combat, as an elemental burst gauge on the boss will slowly fill up and cause the elemental finisher, which will apply an effect on the boss depending on the element of the burst. However, the same thing can happen to you. If you find yourself face tanking too many ice element attacks, for example, you will eventually become immobilized and will need your party members to come help you. But Laufie, I can't decide which class to play. Does it mean I will have to make 5 characters in the beta? Nah, you can switch your class by simply switching to a different weapon, anywhere in the world. So every single class in the game is playable on 1 character. No alts needed. Number 2. Customization. Blue Protocol offers extensive customization for your character's appearance when you first enter the game. Hair, face, eyes, height, and yes, boob slider is in the game too. But what is there beyond that? Well, you can obtain various accessories that go on your character's face, eyes, cheeks, ears, and head, like cat ears or bunny ears. Beyond regular skins, there is a plan to implement underwear as a separate skin slot as well. To all the scarred Terra players, don't worry, none of the cosmetics in the game have any stats associated with them. The shop will have skins, weapon skins, mounts, and accessories, but a little bit more on that later. The main hub city Astralise has an in-game beauty parlor NPC that offers more customization options beyond the default character creator, like different ways to apply dye to your hair, different new hairstyles, and even shark teeth and fangs. This NPC will require appearance change tickets though, but they are obtainable both through the cash shop and in-game. Your gear can be dyed, and your weapons can be hidden outside of combat as well if you so desire. Lastly, classes are not gender locked, so you can play as any character you'd like, regardless of your class. Number 3. Monetization. In a recent developer stream about 4 months ago, Bandai revealed some of their monetization plans. I've already mentioned that the cash shop will have appearance change tickets that are also obtainable in-game. Something else that will make it onto the cash shop are these things called extra reward tickets. The rundown is this: when you complete missions, you get rewards. You can click a button and get a little bit more rewards. You get 3 extra reward claims per day for free that refill by 3 every day up to 10. However, if you ever run out, you can buy a couple more of these on the cash shop. The developers have mentioned that the game is designed in such a way that you will never need extra rewards to progress, but they did recognize that putting these tickets on the cash shop can be problematic, so they will be limiting how many of them you can buy without any further elaboration. Skins, weapon skins, accessories, and mounts will be available through a gacha system. But the gacha system only involves cosmetics and nothing else. Plus, a lot of these can also be obtainable through in-game missions. Other things on the shop will be things like potions, XP boosts, tickets that allow you to remove and reuse plugs, which is a part of your gear progression system we'll talk about a little bit later, and rename tickets and character slots. You will have 2 slots by default, which can go up to 5 with those tickets, but remember, you can play every class on 1 character. Lastly, Blue Protocol does have a battle pass system that, like most battle passes, has a free version and a paid version. We were not given any numbers in this livestream, so no one actually knows yet how much any of the aforementioned items will cost. If anything in this segment discouraged you, I can give you some silver lining. These news were specifically talking about the Japanese version of the game, and for us Westerners, the game will be handled by Amazon, which means that some of the pay-to-win elements, or loot box elements specifically, may not make it past them, and will have to be removed or reworked like we've seen multiple times in Lost Ark. Number 4. Gearing, crafting, and endgame loop. Strap in boys, this is a big one. You've probably guessed by now that crafting and gearing go hand in hand in this game. The crafting and gathering system is quite refined. You can wishlist any recipe you'd like to tackle, and the game will keep track of your progress for you. Moreover, while you're gathering materials out in the world, all the items you pick up, find, forage, or fish go directly into your storage, without the need to run back to the hub city to clean out your inventory. There are a number of locations out in the world that have icons on them that show you places where you can gather certain materials. You can craft a plethora of consumables and, of course, gear. There are no armor pieces in Blue Protocol, and instead, your character has 5 slots of Enhance Imagines, all of which can roll a random passive when crafted, such as more HP, more attack power, or a boost to your base stats. Aside from those, there is the weapon. The weapon. Once you clear an instance, the associated missions, and obtain all the necessary materials, you can craft your weapon. It will have a visual look that is heavily inspired by the look of the monsters and bosses of the instance the materials come from. Once you craft your weapon, it will roll a random stat that will make it more efficient against a certain type of monster. By default, the effectiveness will be something like 4 to 5% damage against X. However, there is a chance to proc a great success when crafting that weapon, which will increase the stat's effectiveness to 9 to 11%. On top of that, your weapon has slots for plugs. By default, it will have 1, but in the case of great success, you will have 2 slots that are guaranteed, with a further chance of having an extra slot up to 4 total slots. Have you had enough RNG yet? No? Well, the plugs that go into these slots roll a stat that can proc an effectiveness level from 1 to 5 stars. The developers are proud to say that these plugs are not monetized, but are they? Considering the fact that there's no way to re-roll or remove them once slotted, the cash shop has an item that allows you to do just that. Now, I don't know if this item, like many others, will also be obtainable in the game, but as it stands, the weapon part of gearing involves heavy RNG, which might make the gearing a little grindy with having to recraft the same weapon multiple times hoping for an upgrade. The silver lining is that Bandai did mention that this is mostly aimed at min-maxing players, and you can clear all the content in the game perfectly fine with a low roll weapon, but come on, who wants to settle for that? Anyway, this probably gives you a good look at the endgame loop. Pick up your missions with the adventurer board, run an instance with players, hand in the mission, collect the items you need, craft the weapon, low roll it, cry about it, rinse and repeat. Seems like a typical Monster Hunter-esque endgame loop. Though there is a low chance for a chest to spawn in an instance that will contain a weapon, but we don't know what the chances are, or whether it's some sort of maxed out god weapon, or if there is RNG involved in that as well. Number 5. Developers' care and transparency. Let me tell you a story about early betas of Blue Protocol back in 2020 and 2021. In the first early beta, when the players tested out the game, they discovered a very unpleasant bag system. It had very few slots, and every time you were out in the world foraging or collecting materials, your already small inventory would fill up with these items that didn't stack with one another and needed to be appraised back in the main city. On top of having to run back and forth doing this, the mount had a stamina bar that, once ran out, would desummon your mount permanently until you returned to the main city and stood still for a while. Obviously, players didn't like this. In the following beta after that, the players noticed that the bag became bigger, and there were changes made to the stamina bar. The mount still got desummoned, just not permanently. The developers commented on this, saying that the limited mount usage was part of their vision, and the players pushed back once again. In the third beta, following that one, the players noticed that not only did the bag become near infinite in size, but the items that you gathered and collected in the world automatically went to your bank instead of your inventory, effectively removing the need to constantly run back and forth appraising them. Moreover, the players noticed that despite Bandai initially seeming pretty firm on their mount stamina system, they have opted to listen to the player feedback and removed the mount desummoning completely, transforming the stamina bar into a dash that regenerates instead. The players were pleasantly surprised and praised Bandai for these changes, as they should. Furthermore, during one of the more recent developer livestreams, Bandai team tackled 40 different player concerns, not only with simple comments, but with direct changes and implementations to the game, frequently accompanied by screenshots of those. Personally, I would say, so far, so good. And I know I said I will try to be as objective as possible, but hear me out for a second. As a jaded MMORPG player myself, I would be lying if I said it doesn't feel wrong to get excited about an MMORPG to any extent these days. Obviously, Bandai wants to make the game as appealing as they can to a potential massive influx of new players. But it seems to me that once the game has launched, that's when the developers typically get most complacent. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble here, get excited if you want. I am too. But I'm just saying, the real test of the dev scare will truly come after launch. But hey, so far, it's looking pretty alright. Number 6. World and story. Your story starts off in just about the most basic way an MMO story does. Let me know if you've heard this one before. You wake up in an unknown cave, without any memories of who you are, and immediately get help fighting an enemy by an overconfident, bubbly character who ends up being the one receiving protection from you. You seem oddly powerful, and on your journey to recover your memories, you hear a mysterious voice whispering sweet, obscure nothings to you, leading you to believe you're some sort of chosen one. There's an edgy villain guy who's kinda hot, and there's an idle archetype character who's annoying at first but grows on you with her bubbly attitude. It's standard anime shit, but hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The game uses your character's memory loss as a cheeky way to introduce you to the basic in-game systems, which I found cute, and the side characters you meet on the way seem interesting enough, but the world is truly beautiful. It's broken down into pretty big zones that do have loading screens between them, but that doesn't really take away from how big it feels. The cel-shaded graphics really complement the feel of adventure, especially coupled with the fact that the game encourages exploration, with hidden quests and Easter eggs you can find that are completely unmarked, meant to be stumbled upon by sheer accident and curiosity. There are no viewpoints in the world. The fog over the map disappears as you naturally explore the corners of the world. There are training dummies scattered all around, plenty of things to gather and forage, and a cute little bonfire system that you can light up, sit down next to, and recover some HP while chatting with other players. Teleportation portals do exist in the game, so eventually, once you've discovered a large chunk of the map, it will become easier to traverse the world. But one thing I can say for sure, whether you delve into the lore or skip through the dialogue, your first playthrough will have an undeniable sense of adventure. And lastly, number 7, horizontal. Now that we've covered the majority of the important, heavy topics, let's finish off with some lighthearted stuff that makes the game more charming and unique. As mentioned before, the game has hidden quests. And when I mean hidden, they are truly hidden. You start them by randomly talking to an NPC that is completely unmarked. For example, there's a hidden quest where you can pick up when you talk to a random cat and find out he's injured. I won't spoil what the quest is about, but the cat is okay in the end, why people happy. Speaking of cats, Astralis, the main hub city, has some animals that hang around busy places. Cats, dogs, and these round Pokemon-looking creatures, all of whom you can pet. For role players or people who just enjoy taking pretty screenshots by themselves or with friends, the game has an incredibly intricate screenshot system that functions very similarly to G-Pose in Final Fantasy. Once you enter the screenshot mode, the people around you can go about their day. Their models will still remain in the picture until you exit. Furthermore, their models will be fully customizable by you, allowing you to make them perform emotes, in-game skills, or freeze them so you can time the picture well. There is a rock, paper, scissors system to mess around with, and you can also hold hands with another player if you so choose, which can also be done outside of the screenshot mode. Yes, you can walk around the town holding hands with another player. It's real. Everyone has an adventurer card that is customizable with pictures and a background of any given screenshot that you took before, and a little bio about yourself. If two players trade these cards, they become friends. There is no definitive guild system in the game. Instead, there is this system called teams that players can join and rank up the team's rank by doing stuff together. But the main appeal of the system, according to the developers, is just the shared chat. More updates are planned for this system in the future, but as it stands, it doesn't seem to be a huge priority for Bandai. The HUD is fully customizable, very similarly to FF14, and just like Lost Ark, you can turn off other players' skill effects, or turn off all effects except the buffs or heals that can benefit you. There's a system that allows you to rewatch old cutscenes that get updated if you ever change your character's look. And lastly, the party recruitment system has really cool built-in tags, some of which are Until We Clear, First Timers Welcome, Refusing First Timers, Looking for Help, Looking to Help, as well as the ability to create slots for specific classes in the party. For example, you can have one Twin Striker slot, and once that slot gets filled by a Twin Striker, no other Twin Striker can apply. These are all small aspects of the game I wanted to mention, because I can't help but feel that having such tiny but loving details present in the game makes it feel cared for and well polished, despite only entering closed beta in the near future. And there you go. Hopefully this video shed some light onto what kind of game Blue Protocol is. Let me know your thoughts and let me know which systems you liked or maybe didn't like. If you also have any questions, I did do an extensive amount of research about this game, so maybe I'll be able to answer them if it's something I didn't cover in this video. But like I said, I'll be making more detailed videos in the future looking at some of these systems because there's a lot of information to cover. So feel free to subscribe or follow me on Twitch, which is where I'll be streaming this game in the Japanese test and the closed beta test, hopefully if I do get into it. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.